Hello, peoples. So, if you follow me because you're seeing this, but you guys know now that I follow Christ. At least if you pay attention, my last couple posts have been of that. I've been saved for like a year or two now, probably like a year and change, leading up to 2 years. And during that time, as a skeptic. I used to be a skeptic, and I guess an atheist even. There's something called the flying spaghetti monster. Some of you, the close ones to me, know about that whole journey there. Just in spite of God, I didn't believe, and then I was kind of just angry with him, disappointed in him, etc. So I did stuff in spite of God for quite some time, never harming anyone, nothing like that, but just making a mockery, be like, oh, and then going to the usual things like I have a lot of people of various sexual orientations and lifestyles that have been attacked and all this stuff. And I'm not going to say I agree with the way they're living, but it's mad exaggerated to villainize them to that extent. Like, if you did want to change their lives, like, that's not the way to do it, in my opinion. And when I say I don't agree with their lifestyle, it's like, it's not for me, is what I mean by it. Like, I love everyone. I'm a golden retriever. So what I wanted to get through today is we are to blame. Us humans are to blame for a lot of things that they put on God. If God's so powerful, why doesn't he do this? Why doesn't he stop that? Why doesn't this or that happen? And I was one of those. I was in a bad situation, and left me pretty worse for wear. And my sister, my lovely, amazing, beautiful sister, went and brought me to her church, the church she's been going to for quite some time now. I've popped in and out because church was not my thing. I went there just for it was to spend some time with family and stuff. Like, all right, let's go to church. All right, let's go. But she brought me, and I was in a place where I didn't have, like, a lot of stuff that I was working towards and building up, just like, and here at Mosquito Squad, like, I grew in the company, and because I was trying to make a way for myself, and boy, I was trying to make a way for myself where I shouldn't have been doing so, but I was too, like, arrogant, I guess, or too I don't even have the words, too proud. I don't know where my head was at, but I was trying to build a foundation on terrible land, and I should have known better, but I didn't. I was very stubborn. Oh, that's the word, stubborn. I was mad stubborn, and I couldn't, like, just quit. I was too deep in it. I'm committed. I'm deep in it. I can't quit. I can do it. I can make it work. I can do this. I can do that. And I started doing too much. Oh, look at these hands. I started doing too much, way too much, and it led me to a place where I had almost nothing. All I had at the end of the day was my family, which is everything, I guess. Well, like, everything I worked for was gone. Or not everything. A lot of what I worked for was gone. But that's the thing. Like, my mind has now switched. Like, I had family still. I had my family still. And there's a lot of things that I overlooked before because I was just so in it, so in myself, so in my disappointment, so into my disapproval, so into this, that, and the third, that I was just too stubborn, and I kept piling up stuff on this bad land, and you know what? It came down, and I had nothing, and I was like, all right. My sister was like, hey, you know, you're being mad emo. You want to come to church real quick? Maybe, you know, it'll give you a positive thingy, my Bob. And I was like, all right. I go, and I was moved. I was very moved. And then I went again just because, not because like I felt God, like, oh God, but I mean, in hindsight it was, but I just felt good. And I was in the midst of feeling absolutely terrible, just terrible. I was, you know, due to situations, I was sleeping on my floor because I had lost a couple things. And a lot of stuff that I worked very hard for was stripped from me. And I just, you know, I was angry. I was like, damn. How is it that I don't harm no one? I was harming myself. Not on some like you know, suicidal, nothing like that, but more so on the tip of I wasn't treating myself correctly. So of course, you know, I wasn't treating myself correctly. So yeah, I wasn't hurting others around me, and maybe I was without knowing, or maybe in turn me not treating myself well negatively affected others. But you know, I came to realize that that this feeling that I had at the church was something I haven't felt in a minute. And I was like, wow, okay. So I went back again. I brought Vladimir, my best friend of all time. And we both started feeling it. And I'm like, okay. I still wasn't in scripture or nothing like that. But I was like, yeah, all right, cool. This is cool. So I went another time, and I, you know, started to read. First and foremost, New Beginnings Ministries is the church that I started going to. You might see me post stories about it and you know, repost or whatever. The people there, just the people. I'm gonna God first, God always. I love you, but just the people itself treated me in such a way that I was hooked. You know, just this positivity. People who just looked out for me or cared for me enough that I felt it tangibly. It kept me going. Then little by little, you know, I actually did get into the Word, started reading, just to help me through, you know, my moments. I was like, all right, like, let me see what Jesus do, you know, let me see what Jesus do. And I found God trying to find out about Jesus. I was like reading the Old Testament. I was like, I'm going to read it from beginning to end. And the first book, you know, Genesis, I was like, oh, okay, cool. And then I kind of just took it as like it was very entertaining. It was entertaining. I wasn't reading too much at the time. Due to I was taking like medication for you know, to, like PTSD, anxiety, and all this other stuff, the depression, like the docket, everything. I don't even know if docket was the right word, but just everything. I was taking a medication, like a nice blanket medication, and it just got me uninterested in pretty much everything. I was just alive and not worrying my folks or friends. So yeah, I start reading. This is not a flex on my wonderful hair. So I started reading Genesis, and then it hooked me up. It hooked me, and I was like, okay. And then each book that went on from there was very entertaining. Some of them were just a little like, I don't understand the purpose. Eventually, I did. Like that the Bible does that a lot. Like some things you'll read and just be like, huh? But eventually, with time, as you keep reading and as you know, learn more and seek more, then it's like, oh, okay. You know, sometimes not. At least not for me yet. You know, I still got time. I'm very new. But I say all of this, like 10 minutes to get to my main point. If you got this far, you do not have anything to do. And thank you for not having anything to do. But I learned that we, like humans, were the cause for most of my hatred. You know, why doesn't God stop this stuff from happening? You know, who's doing the stuff? You know, God can't move in people who kind of don't accept him. Like, God can't just see a random person who does not believe in him or, you know, does anything in terms of a spiritual growth. Like, if your spirit is too small, God can't move in you. And that's just kind of the way it is. And, you know, then the argument to that is, well, God could do anything. People say he could do everything and anything. He did. And he wiped out a lot of life with the flood, which he promised to never do again. But if you change your point of view towards not hatred for human, but just acceptance that humans are prone to sin. And I know sin is like a weird word. It's like, oh, sin, what's a sin? What's this a sin? But a sin is just something that God personally doesn't appreciate. We all have that. We all have pet peeves. We all have things that irk us. We all have those type of things. And those would be sins for us. You know, like, a lot of our sins, I guess, would be a lot pettier if we were gods ourselves. Like, oh, don't chew gum like that. You know, I don't want you around. Like, it's like that. Like, I don't want you around because you do this stuff. It's like that. It's just, God has boundaries, let me say. And there's certain things that once you cross that boundary, he's just like, I'm not interested. So we kind of come out of factory somewhat like with that in us to want to irk God. And once you come to that realization that he can only move in people that give him the permission to, because he, you know, he's a gentleman at the end of the day. He can't do much. He can't do much. And my early experiences with religion and stuff were harsh. You know, I grew up Catholic, not by choice. I was just brought to church reluctantly and forcefully by the parents, because you got to go to church. But, you know, they preached a lot of hellfire. They preached a lot of fear, just fear. That's all I did. All I did was fear. And I was so scared to a point where, like, I was like, no, I'm not interested. I'm not interested. You know, and then to find out that he wants to burn gay people, and he wants to, you know, like, if you sin, you're gonna go to hell and all this stuff. And I was like, wow, like, that's not what I want. Like, if he does exist, I don't want that either. You know, that was a big thing as well. Like, at some point I was like, maybe he does, but, like, I'm not with him. I'm not with that point of view or that lifestyle that like, no, like, I was always pro acceptance, pro love, pro peace, you know, hippie life, love, live. But, you know, when I came to this church and they started teaching me and showing me and, you know, enlightening me to the point where I started doing my own research and started doing my own reading and started to really contemplate and meditate on God for who I think he is through the book, you know, through actions of others, I realized that he is a lot of love. There is a lot of love in God. There's a lot of acceptance in God. I personally don't believe that he will just condemn people to hell for the way they are. Because, at least for a follower of Jesus, that doesn't seem to be the case. Jesus definitely looked for those who needed it. You know, he calls them the sheeps, the stray sheeps that got away. You know, like, he just wanted to corral the lost people back. And that's what he did. He ended up, doing that, making the ultimate sacrifice for me, or for us, for everyone. And the job of a Christian today, from my knowledge, is to just let them know, like, yo, you're good, you're safe. There's a God who loves you and wants you to have a good life as well. But in order to do that, you gotta, like, stop your old habits and kind of rearrange your life and what priorities there are. If you're very rooted and focused on this, like, world right here, it's a little harder to do so. It's a little harder to make that change and to just give up stuff, because they say, oh, give up stuff. It's like you have to be willing to do so. I don't know if you have to literally just give up everything and become a monk, but if a situation arises and you have to drop a couple things for the greater good, then you have to be willing to do so. They say that the richer you are, the harder it is to get into heaven, because you have a lot to lose. And if you have an attachment to those things, you're more likely going to do things to protect and preserve that, regardless of what may happen or it may affect. And it could be, not only could it be riches, but it could be anything. That could be applied to anything. Protecting things and focusing too much on the earthly. You don't think about the spiritual. And for some people, they don't even believe in the spiritual. And for people like that, because I've always believed in the spiritual, there's no other option for me. I've always believed in the spiritual. That doesn't have to be like Jesus spiritual, but just spirits in general, and afterlife in general, realms in general. Like, I've believed in all of that stuff. I don't know if all of it's real. I do know God's real, and I do know heaven's real, because of my time I've been spending and the research I've been doing. And it's part of faith as well. You know who you are. Let's say you know who you are as a person right now, but in 10 years, will you still believe you're the person you were 10 years ago? And I say that to say, like, you have faith in who you are at the moment. You have faith that because truly you don't know who you are, because what are you? Anything could change you. One event could happen and you're a completely different person. You could be in a terrible mood and you could be a whole different person. Having faith in who you are and sticking to who you are and your morals and your way of living is an important thing in your life. You have to have some sort of faith in something. And I have faith and belief that heaven is real and God is real. And hell, I believed in hell because, again, I was preached hellfire like crazy back in the Catholic days. So I do believe in hell, but I don't believe hell is a place destined for everyone. I believe people that go to hell are just the truly bad, not the ignorant, not the I don't know any better, not infants, not indigenous people on a remote island, gay people. I don't believe none of these people go to hell unless there's a level of just malice and just malice, and not even like oh, I wake up in the morning, I don't want to ruin someone's day type of thing, but I wish and I pray, let me say, I don't wish, I pray that their heart changes for those who are like that. How long is this right now? 20 minutes? I don't even know if this does 20 minutes, but I have ADHD, so if I not undiagnosed, all right, so take that with a grain of salt, but I jump around a lot. But yeah, I just wanted to get like a little word vomit out, because I want to start, I guess, talking about my journey here, because man, it's been such a difference. It's been such a difference to still be in the same environment that I was absolutely unhappy in, to now be happy in kind of the same environment. Things have been getting better though. I've made a lot of progress mentally, and spiritually. I made a lot of progress, and a lot of good things have really been raining down on me. A lot of good things. So I just just because of that alone was the reason I wanted to like share and let people know that, you know, if you put the work in, you could find out who God really is and not take these weird interpretations of him, or looking at these like really hardcore people who are just like spewing hate and spewing all that stuff. Like you'll read it in the Bible. You'll see in the Bible that Jesus was not doing none of that. Like, yes, he was harsh with some words. Yes, he would, you know, he went into a church, started flipping tables, but people were like, they were like exchanging money. It was like money exchange, and like he, you know, that's a lesson right there. Like, you know, that the whole like that was a big thing for me. Like, oh, why do you want my money? Why are you gonna guilt me for my money going to church? Which my church does not do. If you give, you give, and you know, it's out of the kindness of your heart, and it's appreciated, and it's used for a good purpose. So like that, I've always felt safe and secure because I know everybody intimately now. But I remember that Catholic church passing that thing, the thingamabob, the bag and stuff. I've been watching my language too, but like there came a shame, a weird shame. Like, you gotta give, you gotta. And it's like, I don't want to give so you can buy yourself a statue. I don't know, like you know, your new goblet, your new golden goblet. Like, relax. But that's not what it's all about. It's just about a relationship. Man, that's the whole, the whole goal was to get to that. It's a relationship that, you know, you should have with God rather than an obedience thing. Or, he is my God, he is my Lord. I do bow to him, I do submit to him, but he's also my Father, and he's also my brother, and he's also my guide. You know, the Holy Spirit, the Jesus and Yahweh God, you know, they're all family to me now. And they just have a title to them. You know, kings still have siblings and children. You know, they don't have to treat him any. They still, you know, follow protocol, let's say. So it's just that. Just build a relationship with God. Just ask him, talk to him. You don't have to do anything crazy right now. You don't even have to read the Bible right away. Just start talking to him. Tell him to give you the interest. Give you the interest in doing so. And because that's what it started with me. I was like, I just got interested. And from that interest, it grew into something that I did not see myself doing whatsoever remotely. And again, for those who are really close to me, they know I was not, like, junior Christian. It's crazy. But, you know, God works in mysterious ways, as they say. And I had to go through a reality break in order to achieve a true reality, or a good reality. It's a true reality. You know, and through that, cleaning up my act to be better has been impacting others in a positive way. So now I haven't been harming myself. Not like that. Harming myself in terms of not treating myself right. I now treat myself right, and I give myself enough respect, and I give myself enough love. And that's because I'm made in God's image, and Jesus came and died for me. So I'm not going to disrespect that. I can't disrespect that. With who I am now, I can't. And I'm not going to look down on anyone. And I'm going to help everyone I can. Everyone and anyone that needs it. If you've harmed me, if you haven't, I don't care. You're going to get helped. Because it's in me already. It was already in me to do so. But now I know why it was in me. You know, it was almost like I was chosen before I knew I was. But yeah, 25 minutes. Anybody who, almost 25. But by the time I close it off, maybe it'll be 25. But if I could do this in Instagram, it might be a 2-parter or something. But I don't know. For those who even read, if it's a 2-parter, then you already know it's a part 2 because you're on part 2 and you're listening to this portion. So, anywho, unless it's on YouTube, then I'm bold. If I put this on YouTube, I'm bold. But anyway, I love y'all. And there's nothing you can do about it. Bye-bye.